car, you've got to have the strategy right. Drivers have got to be good. There's a whole lot of things that have to come together, and there's another shot of those marbles you could just see there.
Yeah, you know, I'm sure your viewers have seen cars when they finish, and they're just, you know, they're destroyed. They really are.
They look like
balls of marbles. Actually,
Jim Carrey's face from me, myself, and Irene when he had the motorcycle trip up the.
Yeah.
In the meantime, you might have just seen a glimpse of the race leader Nico Hulkenberg making a scheduled pit stop there. Once again, fuel only for that car. That's Hulkenberg now embarking on a fourth fuel stint at the wheel of that car. He took over at the wheel at around about a little bit before 9 o'clock, and it's now, what, 11:30. And still going strong, Nico Hulkenberg, and once again did not change tyres. So as it's got cooler in the evening, we see the Porsches now able to run 4 stints on one set of tyres. And Greg, kind of talked about it a little bit, but you know, the tyre strategies you did talk about. But you know, as the evening cools down, as the temperature cools down, the tyres are certainly not worked as hard as they were earlier on.
Yeah, so you'll typically run a softer tyre, which you can get away with, or you know, you'll run a different strategy and run the harder tyre but for longer. So. That's our car is very good on the tyre, always was very good on the tyre, so we don't really have any issues with the tyre, but never have.
That was you can see this is the battle here for second and third. Marcel Fessler now, or it's a battle for the lead, I should say, with Mark Webber and Marcel Fessler. Look at them, absolutely nose to tail, coming through the Porsche curves. That boy
getting completely held up as well by a GT car. So.
That's a great battle which has been raging on since we went back to partial green flag conditions with just that yellow there. Look at the Audi there tucked in right behind the Porsche. No way through as they go. Puts another lap on the GTE Pro leader. Jordan Taylor still at the wheel of that Corvette.
Wow, and Jordan Taylor just got right in the middle of that battle there, and that just saved Mark Webber. Mark Webber just cheekily dived inside him, and there was no way that Marcel Fessler could fit in behind him. So a little bit of breathing space for Mark. So the track is now clear, we should add.
Oh, okay.
Got distracted.
Must have been just as that happened in that case, because
having fun with my friend Greg.
Yeah, it just happened right then, because that last time, the previous laps have all been in sort of mid 3 minutes 46 or so, and all of a sudden we're now back down to 3 minutes 29.
And we now have a couple of penalties as well.
Yeah, for the race race leader Mark Webber will have a 1 minute stop-go penalty.
1 minute stop and go penalty. 1 minute stop and go penalty for an infringement under yellow flag.
Wow. Wow. That's a very costly error. We talked about earlier on, it's whoever makes least mistakes in this race, and Greg Murphy still with us. You can attest to that. That's what this race is all about these days. The cars nowadays are so relatively reliable compared to, say, 10 years ago, and before that, you know, they were horrendous. You really could drive them no more than 80% for most of the race. Now it's absolutely flat out, and you've got to minimize those errors.
Yeah, and I see our friends KCMG there, who are leading the class, car 47, have a drive-through penalty as well. So there's some sort of pit stop infringement. So I don't know.
Well done for pointing that out. Your eyeballs nearly came out of your head there.
Yeah, I was jumping up and down here.
Switch your microphone off.
Wow, isn't that bizarre? The leaders in P1 and P2 both get a penalty exactly the same time. For Mark Webber, it's going to be even more costly because he has to stop for a minute. For the 47 car, the leader in P2, that is just going to be a drive-through penalty. But his margin over the second place car currently is almost 2 minutes. That's really ballooned out. I think maybe no, they're still on the same pit stop strategy. So Richard Bradley has been able to pull out a lead over Tristan Gomondi, but now that gap certainly is going to be reduced substantially. And
they must have caught a few lucky breaks, Jeremy, because that's a huge gap, obviously.
Yeah, it's still not quite enough, perhaps, to let you back onto the lead lap. We'll have to keep an eye on our monitors here, because you're now back up into the third place with the pit stop recently for the car number 26. And that is now driven by Roman Rusinov, who's down into the fourth place in P2. So you're showing us 2 minutes and 11 seconds behind Gomondi, and it was 2 minutes between the first two. So yeah, you're going to be right on the verge here, getting back onto the lead lap. It's going to be pretty close.
Yeah, I see our pace is quite good still, so it's looking okay.
It might get you back on the lead lap, actually, mightn't it?
Greg, here's a question for you via Twitter. Is there a minimum drive time for each driver?
So the amateur driver must drive a minimum of 4 hours. That's really, and then after that, obviously, that's how what rules everything. So.
And so far, Mark Patterson has driven.
I'm glad I did my homework, right?
Absolutely.
Mark Patterson is your silver driver in this,
yeah.
The so-called AM.
Yeah, so in LMP2 we have to run an amateur driver, so Mark is that amateur driver and must do 4 hours in the car.
And he's done, so he's just a double stint so far, which is about an hour and a half.
Yeah, he was going to do a third stint, but he started getting a bit of cramp, so we just took him out. So yeah, he's done a double and he's gone to his bed, I hope. And yeah, we'll see him.
To us.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see him at 6 in the morning or 5.
I think I saw him at that concert. Over there.
We're probably the only team where we actively encourage our drivers to go to the concert.
That's good, like the one you were at last night.
Yeah.
I called there this morning, but you weren't there.
Told where?
To your team.
I was very busy, Damien.
Oh, right, sorry, yeah. Nothing to do with last night.
So we've got battle still continued there at the front of the field. 3 minutes 21.1, so back down now to the regular pace for the leaders, as we see Richard Bradley making that pit stop here for just a drive-through penalty for car number 47, the leader in P2, and it's going to reduce the gap, the advantage he had from around about it was around about 2 minutes down to about a minute and a half.
So we just had an onboard shot there. I think that was of Mark Webber repassing Marcel Fazer. I think Marcel Fazer has just repassed Mark Webber again. So it's ever changing at the front. Of course, the Audi's really good at sector 1, and then I think the Porsche has the legs on sector 2. And Mark Webber having to go out over a little bit of curb there to pass the GT car.
Sector 1, certainly the Audi has generally had the advantage, and in sector 3 as well, but in the middle sector it's the Porsche that has generally had the advantage. That'll be skewed just a little bit now with that the yellow zone down at the end of the Mulsanne, but not by much. I think certainly the Porsche is still slightly the quicker car generally through the along the Mulsanne from Tête Rouge to Mulsanne corner. Yeah, so it's straight back in again. That's.
Is he due a pit stop then?
Not really, because he last pitted. He came in right before that last safety car period, which ended about half an hour ago. He's done a total at the moment of 12 laps. So yeah, so it's pretty close. Certainly, by the time he's done, one more, the in lap and then an out lap and then back in again, it's around about, on schedule. And I would expect also Marcel Fassler to be into the pits at around about almost the same time, either this lap or the next lap.
Obviously, he is only to come in once because he doesn't have to serve a penalty.
You're right, exactly right. So that's going to give
both of them have come in.
a big advantage. They're both in together. Okay, cool.
Jeremy, I think we got the lap back here, did we?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Just you should be, I think, about 10 seconds within that. But you're making a pit stop now, though, Greg. Your car just onto pit lane.
You don't have to be up there.
See it. No, they'll survive without me, I'm sure, for a few minutes.
So both of the race leaders, and here we are, nose to tail. You can't get much closer than that down the pit lane. One of them to serve a penalty, and one of them to serve service.
They're supposed to be doing the same, 1 minute stationary with nobody touching the car. Mark was quite cool on the radio there in his reply.
Yeah, very much so, wasn't he? So that's car number 17. That's his 11th stop. And
Mark will be sitting there. This minute will seem like an hour. he'll be ready to go there like after 20 seconds, and they'll just hold him and hold him and hold him. And of course, it has to be the full minute. Be the longest minute of his life.
Oh.
Yeah, it
Done
will.
it several times, unfortunately.
many years ago, though.
So that will elevate Nico Hulkenberg back into the lead shortly. Yeah, there he goes now across one of the timing loops out on the racetrack on lap 136. And not far behind him, actually, is René Rast. There's only about 4 seconds or so between those two cars. There goes Mark Webber after serving that penalty. He will now go back out on the racetrack, come around one more time, and they make his own fuel stop, regular fuel stop. So this is plenty more time to go in this race. We're going to take another quick commercial break and be right with you with more action from the Circuit de la Sarthe. Welcome back to Eurosport. Jeremy Shaw and Damien Faulkner. Mark Cole back with us. Nothing else. You haven't really missed anything. The race leader is still now Nico Hulkenberg as a result of those pit stops by the erstwhile leaders, Mark Webber, who had served a penalty, and here he is back into pit lane one more time. This is for regular service then for Mark Webber in car number 17. And is hopping out of the car. So that extra pit stop has cost him quite dearly. He's still going to remain on the lead lap, I believe, as Mark Webber, but certainly now going to have a lot of ground to be made up. Mark, we've talked about it several times, haven't we? It's down. This race is going to be down to who makes the fewest mistakes. That was certainly a mistake there, apparently, from Mark Webber.
Yeah, fewest mistakes, least time in the pits, and that's what, as you say, wins Le Mans. 29 pit stops for Audi last year, but when they in the 24-hour race. So Mark Webber getting back out, very quick time there. That was a. He's coming up. 134 with tyre change, is that right? He's going out, back out now.
Yeah, so that'll be that's right on schedule there for Mark Webber. He's been at the wheel of that car for quite a long time. He took it over at 8:23, and it's now 11:45. So well over 3.5 hours. I'm going to go down to the pit lane and speak with the guy who's been leading in GTE, Jordan Taylor.
Jordan Taylor, you've just had the drive of your life in the Corvette. How does it feel to still basically be qualifying, or like you're in a sprint race this far in?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little crazy, especially after that restart. You know, it's dark out there. You can't see what's going on behind you. And there's a train of cars going flat out, so I wouldn't say we're completely flat out just yet. But, I mean, the pace is pretty fierce right now. You know, all the cars are quick, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Porsche, and thankfully the Corvette's just a little bit faster right now.
And this is a really amazing time of night here at Le Mans. Is this your favorite time? A lot of drivers love it just as you come into the night. What's it like? Yeah,
I've been able to do the sunset a couple years now, and you know, it was really nice when this year, like pink sky and everything, you know, going down to Indianapolis. So thankfully there's a bit of cloud coverage here to get the sun in your eyes, but you know, it's nice to go from, you know, daytime to nighttime, and you know, your eyes can adjust a little bit easier than, you know, just jumping in straight in the middle of the night. So I was glad I got to do that, and you know, Le Mans is always special in that regard.
Well, we'll let you go and get some food and some rest, and we hope to see you out there in front still later on. Thank you.
Perhaps let Liz have some food and rest as well. Good job she's doing for us tonight there. So,
food, what's that?
Yeah, Hulkenberg, Rast, Fassler, that's our top three at the moment. Porsche, Audi, and it's rocking and rolling a little bit with these problems, you say, penalties in the pit stops. Richard Bradley in the KCMG car, have they taken their penalty yet?
Yeah, they've served that penalty, and their lead was about 2 minutes over Tristan Gommedy. Actually, they're both now into the pit lane for, I think, what I presume is regular service. I think for both those two, they've been the first two cars to pit in every pit sequence. But while we're talking about P2, we'll be joined by John Lancaster, unfortunately, because John was one of the drivers of the Greaves Motorsports Gibson that was running really well, John, in the early stages, but cruel misfortune that put you out of the race. Tell us about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a shame.
Hang on. There you go.
Yeah, but it's such a shame, really. We were going very strong. My first 4 stints, you know, we were running well. The car was more set up to come in later. We were targeting 4 stints, and yeah, we were a little bit steady at the beginning, but then it came in and we had some great pace, even against the 2 coupes that were leading. But this is Le Mans. It happens. I mean, it's only my second one, but I've heard many stories from many people, and it just comes around like that. A battery failure of some kind. We're not too sure what yet till the car comes back.
And of course, one of the things you cannot change on a car is the battery.
Yeah.
That's always been in his history of Le Mans.
Yeah. No, Gary did a fantastic job. He tried everything. I mean, I was asleep through most of this, but it was. You get to the point where you think something should have happened by now. I should have been called back to the garage, and so I woke up, came back, and yeah, I got the news. But yeah, Gary did a pretty heroic effort to try and get it back going, but not possible. So here I am now.
You were driving the car earlier on. Track conditions out there when you were at the wheel of the car. What have you been hearing since then?
The track obviously gets better and better as the laps go on. The more rubber goes down. And yeah, when I was out in the beginning, we were battling a little bit of understeer, so we're just looking after the front tyres and things to try and get 4 stints out of it, and in the end it was comfortable. We had some great pace, and I think we probably got the 3rd fastest package on there at the moment, but it's a long way to go. You just never know what's going to happen, but we were in the mix, so we're happy.
John, your career obviously was single-seaters for a long time. We followed you on Eurosport all through Formula 3, Renault 3.5, GP2. How big in your career now is Le Mans? Is it something that you're going to be looking towards more and more in the future?
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, yeah, I would obviously love to jump in a P1 at some time and go on from there, just like people have done in the past. I mean, Brendan Hall is a friend of mine, and you know, he actually told me to do this 2 years ago. So maybe I should have listened. But it was
well, 2 years ago, of course, Greaves won, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Tom Kimber-Smith and co. And
yeah, but it's one of those things that, you know, you've got to chase the Formula One dream. It's still there to be chased, and we'll see how it goes. But you have to open up another avenue. I mean, when you get Nico Hülkenberg opening up these avenues, it sort of shows a step of affairs in Formula One and that kind of thing. So I think it's a good place to be. It's a series that's growing. There's more manufacturers coming in. So hopefully, you know, with a couple of Le Mans races under my belt and some good pace and some good results, then I'll get an opportunity.
Last year, of course, you did finish the race. You're 8th, I think, in LMP2, and you obviously learned a huge amount from that to carry over to this year. So must make it even harder. You've gone out.
It is. We were all so excited and, you know, pumped up to have a good result, because we're doing brilliant all week long. Obviously, we got a bit of a late driver change, but Gaetan was proving to be, you know, adequate enough to do a good job, even though he's been thrown a little bit at the deep end. But he was doing a great job. He didn't even get in the car, poor guy. But it was it's one of those things, you know. You just got to take the rough with the smooth and go on from there. But now obviously our focus will shift back to the LMS and try and seal up that championship.
Now, this is your second experience here at Le Mans. John, what did you learn first time around that you were able to apply to at least the early stages of this race?
Pace yourself, really, throughout the week. I mean, obviously the first time the adrenaline's running all the time, everything's new, the parade, everything's all a bit exciting, really. But this week, you know, I paced myself really well. I was fully prepared for. I knew I was going to be doing a lot of time in the car, so I really managed my time well. Everything was planned to the minute, really. But never mind. But yeah, last year was. Again, I did quite a lot of time in the car, and we had some failures at the end. But yeah, again, we had good pace last year as well. But Le Mans not always about pace, you know. You just got to keep churning away, no mistakes, no failures. It's a real team effort, and yeah, the Greaves team and our partners Kairos, we've always had a great relationship all the season long. We've had some good results in the LMS, and I'm sure we'll be back stronger again come next year.
Yeah, it's a very different experience here, isn't it, to what you've been used to the rest of your career?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, anything over an hour is long compared to single-seater racing. But yeah, it's the way things are going. The manufacturers are here, and this is where you can get a good, strong opportunity as a career. So,
well, we just had Greg Murphy visiting us, and here we are. There's a celebration going on in the Murphy garage.
Greg Murphy.
Yeah.
No.
So, one of the teams that really know how to enjoy themselves.
Great bunch of guys.
When we got Damien Faulkner and Greg together, the Dubliners, I mean, that was it.
I'm sure that was a colourful conversation.
Absolutely. ELMS, you've still got the campaign continuing this year?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got 3 rounds to go. We're I think 2 points off the lead of the championship after a bit of a struggle in Imola. But yeah, we're strong as a team. We've got a good package overall, and I'm sure we'll be strong again come the next 3 rounds, and we'll try and get that championship sealed up.
So that championship might, if you can take that, might make up for the disappointment of tonight.
I think that's what we're hoping for anyway. You know, we're going to give it everything that we've got, and yeah, that's going to have to do. Unfortunately, the big one just couldn't fall for us this year.
Good. So I'm sure everyone in Leeds, your hometown, will be very unhappy to see that, but we wish you all the best for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Thank you, John Lancaster.
Cheers.
We're going to take another quick break here on Eurosport and be back after these messages. Welcome back to Eurosport. Jeremy Shaw alongside me now is Neville Hay. Neville, great to see you back here for your how many Le Mans?
I'd hate to think. I think it's about 40, something like that.
What a race is unfolding here.
Yeah, this is, you know, one of the Le Mans I'm always going to remember, because this battle, we were talking throughout the whole of practice. I'm only going to go over just a little few things to sort of set the scene a little bit. Because of the speed of the Porsches, that seemingly was going to give us the idea of it was going to be a real big battle. And everybody said, well, you know, I mean, nobody's going to stay with them, but look what's happened with the Audis. Now, okay, it's not worked out terribly well for Toyota. They just aren't on the pace, but the battle is still well and truly joined between two marks, and the lead's been falling backwards and forwards between them both.
Hasn't it just a tremendous battle unfolding? We've got 5 cars on the lead lap. That's 2 Audis and 3 Porsches. We've got the 3rd Audi, car number 8. Oliver Jarvis has been driving that car for a long time now. It's a long stint that he's put in. He's a lap down still. And then behind him, another couple of laps in arrears, is the best of the Toyotas, car number 2 at the moment. Alex Wirtz driving that car. And in P2, we've still got Richard Bradley now back at the wheel of car number 47. That's the KCMG Oreca Nissan. Had to make a stop-go penalty a little while ago for a pit lane infringement, but still holds a lead of about 80 seconds over Tristan Gomondi in car number 46. That's a Thierry by TDS Oreca Nissan. In 3rd place, another 2 minutes behind Roman Ruzanov, the G-Drive Racing Ligier. That's with the Nissan engine, JSP2 Ligier. And in 4th place is Nathaniel Burton in the number 48 Murphy Prototypes entry. And I think that might have perhaps just fallen 1 lap off the pace again. Here's a pit stop now for the 3rd place car in GT. This is the first of the GT Pro cars to make its 9th pit stop of the day. The class is led at the moment. We saw Oliver Gavin onto pit lane a while ago, and during that sequence of stops, Richie Stanaway has taken the wheel of number 99 Aston Martin, so that car is back in the lead of the race. And Martin Haven is back with us here in the booth. Welcome back, Martin.
Absolutely, welcome everybody. Me and Sam Hancock have been covering the race from the start a little bit earlier on with our sister network Quest, for those of you watching in the UK. For those of you watching in Australia, hello, welcome to prime time. Well, hey, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, which is always a good thing to know.
Yeah, it's got to be. 5 cars on the same lap. I can't remember at any time when I've come here that we've had 5 cars on the same lap at this stage of the race.
Yeah, at midnight.
Yeah. And, you know, we've been touting the reliability of these cars, the fact that they don't stop unless you crash them, and that's tended to be the case, except in the GT class. Normally, some of the most reliable cars, we've had 2 Porsches go out with bonfires. The Aston Martin 97 car coughed and choked and died behind the safety car. You know, there's some very spooky voodoo going on here. The really fast cars, the lead has now been changed because of pit stops and penalties and accidents. You know, we were building this race up as being a really great clash between Titanic rivals. It's not disappointing yet, is it? This is no 90-second Mike Tyson down in half a round fight, is it? This is going to be knockdown, drag out.
Yeah, there's nothing actually I've seen any better than this at any Le Mans that I've been to. If you look at the times now, look at this, a 3:18.
Yep.
And this is the Audi. Isn't it funny? The Audi wasn't anywhere near those times, was it? On
Rennie Rast, yes, this is true. They are racing faster than they qualified.
Oh, yes.
Rennie Rast in the Audi, number 9, setting a 3:18.3. That may be the 2nd or 3rd fastest lap of the race. He also has the fastest lap of the race, a 3:17.5, when he was in the car the last time 6 stints ago, when he was triple stinting early on. Lap 62, we're now on lap 141, and screen showing you some of the image of these cars at night. That wheel isn't actually locked up, it just looks like it because the thin spokes are moving so quickly across that glowing pink brake disc. So you saw the standings then with 15 hours to go. Nico Hulkenberg still in front in the 19 Porsche. And that, of course, is the white car, the black car that started on pole, has dropped down the order. René Rast in second, the number 9 Audi, and third, and continuing yo-yoing up and down the order as its out-of-sequence pit stops tilted around, is the number 7 Audi. That's the car of Ben Trullier, Marcel Fassler, who's driving it now, and Andre Lotterer, the 3-time winners, the winningest drivers in the field, and last year's race winners. Now we've got another yellow flag and double wave yellows in zone 29, which is
and there's a car
first
there
bit of
with
Indianapolis.
no lights on.
And it's got no bonnet on. That's why it's got no lights. And that is why we've got yellows in Indianapolis, because it's lost its nose there.
Yeah.
So that's the 22 Nissan. 21, incidentally, had a clutch change on board with Harry Tincknell in the 22 car. Now, when he slows, well, in fact, he's not going at full speed.
Try to make it back nice and slow. Be careful.
Left rear, left front smoking heavily. Left front corner. Don't know what the blue light for. I'm afraid we're having trouble in the mix making out some of these radio messages. We are trying to make sure that you get them and you hear them. We do not get any warning of when they're popping up on screen, other than the visual warning that you get. And sometimes, and Harry Tincknell with very little control. That is a puncture left front or broken suspension. The car just ploughing on there when he was trying to turn right.
Yeah, well, he's into the pits anyway with it now, so that's a start in the right direction. One of the things that you raised a bit earlier on.
Let's watch this. This will be the replay of the bonnet coming up over the top of the car.
Yeah.
There you go. That's where he lost his hood, and also possibly losing oil. Oil down on the track in zone 25, and that is at the end of between the Mulsanne and Indianapolis, as Harry Tincknell from Exeter brings the car in. So he is our Devonian driver. Exeter to Lehman's.
I'm there.
So there's a great look at this Nissan GT-R LM. The cockpit, driver sitting quite a long way back, the engine in front of that, the gearbox sticks right out the front of the car, so there's the Cosworth built engine. The gearbox comes down almost to the Nissan badge.
You can see the 2 tunnels there, can't you, too? Yep.
And those tunnels are contiguous all the way through the car. This is all part of the design concept from Ben Bowlby. He channels the air over the top of the car. It's got very low side pods, very low bodywork around the cockpit and over the engine bay, and the exhaust blends in. It's not sort of a blown effect, but it blends into the airflow, and remarkable ability to extract heat from under the car, which Jeremy Shaw, with a front-wheel drive car, is going to generate more heat, even without its hybrid system working, than a rear-wheel drive car. And so that kind of airflow is even more critical, perhaps, on this rather than any other P1 cars.
True, and it makes it potentially a lot hotter in a cockpit as well, of course. And these cars do have to run an air conditioning system to keep the drivers relatively comfortable. We talked about that earlier on.
Have we actually talked to a driver about the handling characteristics, whether, in fact, because it is so different, how you treat it, if you treat it, a little bit like, I don't know if you remember.
Like a Mini, big Mini, front-wheel drive.
No, I was just thinking you're too young to remember that things like 1300s. They had front-wheel drive, and they were quite a quick car. And if you took your foot off in the middle of a corner, the back row came round to say hello to you.
Well, Harry Tincknell, it would seem, hit some debris in the track. That's maybe what caused the puncture and caused him to lose the bodywork. Let's take a look here. Well, there goes the hood, but also lots of sparks at the back.
I think it's dearranged his front suspension a bit as well. That's where I think the sparks were coming when he came in.
No, it was coming out the back of the car. So we saw that in qualifying when they're riding very low, and it may be that it's just totally moved the aerodynamic pressure from the front over the bodywork way to the back instantly and made it squat down at the back. They're examining that left front corner. That was the one that wasn't steering.
Yeah, that was the one that got a problem with. Just looking at the number of laps, we can't really at this moment commit ourselves to the calculation.
So Nico Hulkenberg.
So the calculation as to actually distance whether we're going to get a distance record. I don't think we are out of the wood yet. I think it still could possibly happen.
I think it could easily happen. The real problem now is how many more safety cars we get, how long they last, and so on. So, yeah, I mean, the cars are going easily fast enough for an all-time distance record. The question is, are they going to continue going fast enough, or will the safety car slow them down? Well, there's going to be a lot of work going on that car. From Darren Cox a little earlier on, chatted to him about the guys now starting to feel the pressure, possible debris still being warned of in the run-up to Indianapolis. And Jeremy Shaw, that is the fastest part of the track. These prototype cars will be topping 200 miles an hour, not kilometers an hour. What do we see from the number 7 Audi? Are we going to see anything in the roads? No. So this is in fact the number 17 Porsche, despite what the earlier caption said.
Yeah, just talking about that distance record, 397 laps, 5,410 kilometers, or 3,262 miles, set in 2010, and coincidentally the same number of laps, but on a different configuration of circuit, 5,335 k's in 1971.
So 3 laps till Nico Hülkenberg is in, 6 laps until Marcel Fessler comes in the second place number 7 Audi. So Porsche and Audi, their lead pair, still on slightly different pit stop windows.
Yeah, just 1 lap apart. Generally speaking,
well, they were earlier on, weren't they? But we've just heard Nico being told 3 laps.
Yeah, sorry.
Marcel's 6.
That's right. The number 19 car has been coming in 3 laps before the others. That's right.
Be interesting to see his times now. Look, he's in the 21s, but if you remember, right at the beginning of the race, he was by no means the quickest of the Porsche. In fact, he wasn't. He was the slowest of them. Yeah. Now it's a different story.
Yeah, and I think for the Porsches in general, the race is kind of coming to them later on in the evening. I think the temperatures is more conducive to them being easier, a little bit easier on their tyres, not working their tyres quite so hard. They're now able to quadruple stint their tyres, do 4 full fuel stints on a tank of fuel, which they were not able to do in the early stages of the race, Martin.
Yeah, we said that was the secret, really. If you could actually go through 4 before changing tyres, then you were in with a really sensible chance. And if it did turn a bit funny, well, then obviously you could turn in some really quick laps, and if you happen to do 3, fine, you could change them.
Yeah, and in the early stages of the race, the Porsche was struggling to do 3 stints on full fuel stints on 1 set of tyres. Yeah. Now they're able to do 4. I'd say it was a struggle to do 3 because they were certainly losing pace in their 3rd stint, but now they're keeping good pace all the way through. And again, I think Mark Webber's kind of led the charge towards that by perhaps not going as fast as that car was capable of going, but turning good, consistent laps and still trying to take care of his tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. See Damien Faulkner there on stage entertaining the crowds. Number 23 Nissan now at a halt, and thanks to everybody who's sending in the stills from their DVRs of the number 22 car. Clearly seems to be hitting some debris, maybe tyre debris or something else, with the left front corner on track. Clearly your screens are better than ours. We do not have the option for rewinding here. We just take the world feed pictures. So A, we can't rewind and watch them ourselves. B, we can't ask them to. C, we can't give you onboards. D, whatever they give us, they give us. It's like Sky or the BBC covering Formula 1. You take the pictures the world feed gives you. Nobody listens to commentators anyway, even when Eurosport are supplying the pictures. So nobody in the world feed is going to. They only speak French. So yeah, so that's so.
Just a sec. We look as if we've got another little bit of a problem here.
Yeah, there's smoking a lot.
Steam and all sorts of nasty things that you don't really want to see. It ain't going nowhere yet.
Well, Nissan have got 2 cars.
Okay, Nico, proxy flap, press box 1 and proxy flap for driver change.
Marcel, 3 laps remain, 3 laps remain.
2015 Le Mans 24 Hours. It looks like it's starting to get lighter out there, but that is just the effect of all the lights down the straight as a bunch of traffic goes by. Martin Haven, Jeremy Shaw and Johnny Molam in the booth at the moment, being joined by Johnny, Le Mans regular, and regular in the booth as well. Johnny, slightly exciting race going on here at the moment.
Oh God, that's an understatement, Martin. Absolutely awesome race, and I'm really enjoying the fact that the Audis are sort of dropping back through pit stops, and obviously Lotterer had that puncture very, very early, I think in the second hour in the race, and then they're coming back, and they certainly seem to have the pace to be able to overtake.
Everybody has the pace at the moment. I mean, what we saw in qualifying was Porsche dominant, clear of Audi. Audi struggling a little bit to match that pace, or maybe not really over trying and just concentrating on the race. But as soon as the race began, it's neck and neck. The disappointment, obviously, is Toyota. Last year's pole sitters, you know, had a great chance to win the race. This year, they've come here with the development of their car. They felt they made a good step over the winter.
Yeah,
and maybe for the rest of the World Endurance Championship, they have. But here, they are wide open, exposed. Their car is nothing like close enough. They're going to have to go back for a major rethink.
I think and I think even in the WEC and the World Endurance Championship, they're struggling, Martin. And you're exactly right. I feel absolutely devastated, in particular for Andy Davidson and Buemi, because he won the championship, but the one that they haven't won yet is Le Mans 24 Hours. They've led it and they've had opportunities, but never quite cracked that nut. And it doesn't look, to be honest, barring something miraculous happening for them, that they're going to be able to win it this year either. But certainly you're right. I think the Porsches went out there and went for pole. I think the Audis let them, and the fact that Audi have already done a time that's about 3 seconds a lap quicker during the race than they did in qualifying just demonstrates exactly, you're exactly right. The Porsches and the Audis are very evenly matched. It's going to be a fascinating battle to the finish.
Well, at the moment, the lap times 3 minutes 22, 23, 21, 24 for the front-running half-dozen cars, all still very much in contention. And as you say, all right, the pole ended up being down in a 3:16s, but the rest of the qualifying times are a couple of seconds short of that. Fastest race lap today is René Rast's 3 minutes 17.6.
And we haven't even
that would have been enough to put him second on the grid.
And we haven't even got to happy hour yet, Martin.
Well,
I shudder to think what they might be capable of, which actually shows you probably that Porsche could have gone an awful lot quicker if they'd wanted to as well.
Or could they? Because we had quite a lot of rain overnight a couple of nights now. It's been very dry for the last 48 hours, and suddenly the track is starting to rubber in. This is public road. It's covered in diesel, in dirt, in dust, in everything that gets dropped off road vehicles for 11.5 months of the year, and then for 2 weeks we try and turn it into a super high-speed racetrack. These cars are comfortably north of 250 miles an hour, not kilometers, miles an hour.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
You need that rubber. The bizarre thing about the chemistry of race tyres is race rubber grips race rubber. It doesn't grip tarmac, which is exactly what you don't think. Now, we saw the Rebellion coming in fairly slowly.
Yeah, there's a puff of smoke from the back there. It looks like a potential engine problem. That's going into the Porsche curves. They're pushing it back into the garage, and obviously having a good look around that.
Well,
and
we know
the new AER engine in the back that had amazing engineering just to get that engine into the back of that. And I think Jeremy will tell you, obviously, with the change in the engines and the AER, who you know well from the American Le Mans series, and with the Dyson Racing team.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That P60 engine then from AER, a twin-turbo V6, and they shoehorned that engine into the Rebellion R1 chassis designed by Orica, and but it took a long time to get all that installation done, and just time enough for one shakedown test effectively at Paul Ricard before they came here for the test day just a couple of weeks ago. So what they've managed to achieve, I think, is quite remarkable.
Absolutely.
Incredible straight line speed, second fastest of all in the speed traps on Wednesday, and everything has shown really, really well. The drivers are thrilled with how the car is handling, and particularly with the engine performance. The one thing that the guys were telling me going into this race, he was using quite a bit of oil, so their pit stops have been a bit longer than they would like because they're having to top up with oil on a very regular basis. So that might explain some. It
certainly looked like it was throwing a little bit of extra oil out the back at that point, doesn't it? But you're right. I mean, we're 9 hours in, more than 9 hours in, and they've run incredibly strongly at the moment. And obviously they're running in 9th and 10th place overall at this stage, and doing a fantastic job, as you rightly said.
Yeah, and been turning, very respectable lap times. I mean, the best best laps of both of those cars have been in the 27s, and that compares to the... Box this lap, that's our...
You see Andre Lotterer there, getting ready to get in.
Our race leader, car number 7, and 3 minutes 27s for the Rebellion AERs, 3:23s and 23:22, the best laps turned by the Toyotas, the factory Toyotas. If you think of the budget discrepancy between those two organizations, and only 3 or 4 seconds in lap time, very, very impressive, particularly with the car that's effectively, or an engine and chassis combination, it's pretty much brand new.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree. I'm finding it quite fascinating, Jeremy, how Lena Gade is featuring on the TV in this race. She's kind of almost looks like she's single-handedly running that number 7 car at the moment, and we've heard her communicating a lot with Andre Lotterer and the other drivers over the radio, telling them where the boost can be used, where Porsche aren't using it. She's really working the angles here, and you saw her talking to Andre Lotterer there as he's standing ready to get into the Marcel Fassler-driven number 7 lead Audi, which is presumably going to be pitting very shortly.
And the other thing that is notable, particularly for fans of Grand Prix racing, is what you are allowed to talk about on the radio here, which is basically
everything,
whatever you want. Yeah,
absolutely.
You are allowed to tell your driver what his fuel usage, his tyre wear is like, where the other cars seem to be stronger or not stronger, where Porsche, for instance, is boosting, isn't boosting with its hybrid system. Anything you like, everything.
And I like that. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. I think it's brilliant.
But in an endurance race, that works. In a sprint race, okay, maybe not so. But the great thing for us now is that all of this has always been going on, but now we're party to it. We can hear it. We get a unique insight now during the race into some of the thinking that goes on kind of below the skin of the machine.
Yeah, it's been fascinating, hasn't it? And we've heard the communication on the car number 7 all the way through the race, and there have been some radio difficulties. The pit lane was only hearing a driver, particularly a while ago when it was, I forget, it was at the wheel of the car now, I'll look back through my notes, but they were only hearing the driver when the car was going past on the pit straightaway. They weren't hearing him the rest of the way around the racetrack, so that sort of line of communication was really interesting.
And as from a driving perspective, that can be incredibly frustrating when you're having problems with the radio. You wouldn't think that not having a radio communication working correctly with your pit would actually be too much of a problem, but believe it or not, especially at Le Mans, that is incredibly difficult to deal with. And we see the number 7 now coming into pit lane, as I mentioned earlier with Marcel Fassler, and Andre Lotterer will be chewing to get into this car now. He'll be absolutely looking forward to getting in. They're leading, they're back where they wanted to be. They had that setback earlier with the puncture. They've got themselves back into the lead. They're probably, arguably on paper, the strongest Audi out there, I would say. And it's going to be difficult. I say Porsche will be keeping a real close eye on the number 7 Audi, and they'll see them potentially as their biggest threat, I would imagine.
So here comes Marcel Fassler in car number 7, the race leader at the moment, and it was shortly after Marcel took over the wheel that they discovered that radio problem. They weren't able to fix it during his stint. We'll have to see now, once the next driver, we're presuming Andre Lotterer, resumes, whether the communication's somehow been restored.
Cars out on track and drivers waiting to get in at this stage, Johnny. The fatigue hasn't hit you. Everybody's still wide awake. You're ramped up, ready to get in the car, especially if things are going well. And even if you're sort of in the middle of the cars, you're ready to rock. But when you're... For instance, we just had John Lancaster in, so the Grease Motorsport car is retired. When you're around and about and you're not driving, suddenly you're aware that there are other cars and there's a whole race going on. When you are driving, your only focus is on your car, your team, your teammates, your lap times, their lap times, your problems, their problems.
Yeah.
No one else really exists. It is a single car against the racetrack. And actually, that's sort of, although we start 56 cars, paradoxically, the most important thing for every driver of every car is to beat this track, not to get suckered into the barriers, not to end up in the gravel, to beat the racetrack. And if you can't do that, you're not going to beat anybody else.
I couldn't agree more. And Le Mans is something I always talk about. The soul. It's almost like a lady that lets you get away with things, and she really is out there all the time driving at the Le Mans track. You always think, You have to treat her with respect. You have to be very, very careful. As we see a spin there from the 35 car, that's in the second Mulsanne chicane. But going back to you were saying, absolutely right, Martin, because the one thing that you know, and all drivers that have driven at Le Mans know, that it will bite you. At some point it will bite you, and if you get away with it and you manage to do well and get on the podium or win the race, it's because almost you feel like you've been allowed to. And it's very difficult. You go out there and you do the best you can, but you never ever disrespect this place, because as soon as you think you've conquered it, it'll turn around and bite you. And Andre Lotterer there obviously drove fantastically well in the earlier stints, but not in the darkness yet. And even someone of his enormous experience and Le Mans wins, he'll be feeling slightly edgy coming into darkness, first time in the car in the night. It always takes a couple of laps to really get your rhythm going in these kind of conditions.
And of course, it's not necessarily what you or your teammates do. You can be involved in somebody else's accident in a heartbeat. Look at the Rebellion, look at the Stracker car. They went off on somebody else's oil, seeing a gentleman driver, Eric Maris, looping his car around.
For at least the second time. We saw him spinning earlier on.
That kind of stuff happens. 63 car, Jan Magnussen in
sticking
practice.
throttle, awful, and yet the 64, I've been so pleased with this. They're having a fantastic race, which I'll be honest, I never expected them to be featuring at the sharp end of the GT. You did.
Yeah,
well, you called that, Jeremy.
They learned a lot last year. They were really confident, done a lot of testing to prepare for this. They always do. I mean, they're one of the best prepared teams in the paddock.
One of the best endurance teams out there.
Yeah, they are absolutely right. And they did a lot of testing this new facility in Kentucky, and new test facility there, which mimics certain aspects of this racetrack. And that was very beneficial. They learned a lot here, though. This is just the second time they run the C7R at Le Mans, and they came here quietly. Yeah, quietly optimistic.
You called that, Jeremy, but I was surprised, because having raced against them and had them show such dominance for so long at the Le Mans 24 hours, and in recent times not be able to translate that into decent results, not always through any fault of their own. I must admit, after qualifying, it looked like it was going to be another year of one of those nearly there, but not quite. But it certainly, at the moment, doesn't look that way.
Well, we've got winners formerly of this category in Corvette. We've got winners formerly of this category in the Aston Martin racing team. We've got winners formerly of this category in the Manthey Racing Porsche. That's your 1, 2, 3 in the GTE Pro class. You know, you look at the top, you got all-time record outright race winners Porsche. You got second in the all-time standings Audi, hammering each other lap after lap relentlessly for 24 hours. Every single class is the same. And by the way, was that Jim Roller at Radio Le Mans, or was that Danny Binks at Pratt & Miller? Hard to tell the difference there. That East Coast accent, very similar. Ollie Gavin, you heard on the radio. Traffic is just killing me. But, you know, that's everybody's story. Whether it's traffic, if you're the slowest driver in the slowest car trying to stay out of the way and not get hit, or whether you're the fastest driver in the fastest car trying to break away from somebody chasing you, traffic is a factor here. They were in traffic on lap 3. They'll be in traffic until lap 333 if we get that many.
Absolutely, and it is so competitive, and you rightly were pointing out first, second and third in the GTE Pro, and not to forget the 51 AF Corsa Ferrari with Fisichella currently at the wheel, who won this race last year and led earlier on, and they're fourth place, albeit a lap down at the moment, and in that hunt as well for this fight, and it's going to go again right to the finish. It's going to be, we were calling it, weren't we? We're hoping Toyota were going to be in the mix, if we're all honest, and that's a bit of a disappointment, but I do genuinely think this has got the makings of an absolute classic.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Johnny Mollum, and that to talk about Giancarlo Fisichella, he was the guy who was at the wheel when that incident took place before Indianapolis.